Today's story is about a man who spent 4 years building a future with the woman he loved. From the very beginning, he supported her dreams. He helped launch her YouTube channel, took countless photos for her social media, and stood by her every step of the way. He even put $85,000 toward their future home, proposed to her, and was fully committed to starting a life together. Then, completely by accident, everything fell apart. Standing in a parking lot with his car still running, he uncovered a shocking truth. The relationship he had invested years into wasn't built on love at all. It was part of a carefully planned scheme. His fiancée had a timeline, a goal, and an exit strategy. She intended to marry him, secure the house, build her online image, and divorce him just 6 months later for Instagram attention. The only mistake she made was leaving a window open. So instead of being blindsided, he decided to make the first move. He organized a family dinner and exposed the truth before she had the chance to carry out her plan. What happened next changed both of their lives forever. I work as a fleet operations manager for a regional freight company. My job is making sure trucks get from point A to point B without drivers deciding to take unexpected detours through half the country. It isn't the most exciting job to explain at dinner parties, but it pays well. I earn about $97,000 a year, and it's honest, steady work. My fiancée, Brooke, 29, worked as a community coordinator for a trendy juice bar chain that somehow charged $18 for a blended kale drink and called it a wellness experience. She made around $52,000 a year but spent money like she had a six-figure income and a secret second paycheck. Her entire life revolved around Instagram. She had about 4,200 followers, but you would have thought she was running a major media brand. Every day, she posted carefully staged outfit photos with captions like *casual Tuesday vibes, even though she'd spend 2 hours getting ready. She uploaded pictures of food with long captions about manifesting abundance and selfies paired with motivational quotes she almost certainly borrowed from someone else. She had all the confidence of a successful influencer without any of the success. She constantly compared herself to famous models. "Bella Hadid and I have the same bone structure," she'd say. "No, Brooke, you really don't. I could totally do runway modeling if I wanted to shift my brand. Sure, my engagement rate is actually better than some celebrities. Maybe, if you counted her aunt and a handful of suspicious bot accounts as loyal fans. We met 4 years earlier at a coffee shop downtown. I was eating lunch while working on my laptop when she walked over and asked if the seat across from me was free. The cafe was packed, so I said yes. Within 5 minutes, we were talking like we'd known each other for years. She had this bright energy that could make an ordinary Tuesday feel exciting. When she told me about her dream of becoming a content creator, I didn't laugh or dismiss it. Instead, I helped. I showed her how to set up a YouTube channel, taught her basic video editing, gave feedback on captions, and even bought better lighting because she said the ceiling light ruined her aesthetic. I figured if creating content made her happy, why not support her? The first year was honestly great. We connected naturally. She met my family, I met hers, and everything felt real. By the second year, though, Instagram stopped being a hobby and became her entire identity. She introduced herself as a content creator everywhere we went. She constantly pitched brands for sponsorships, even though every proposal was rejected. Still, she acted like the next email would finally make her famous. Her YouTube videos averaged around 40 views each, and I was pretty sure half of those came from her re-watching them to look for mistakes. By the third year, I kept making excuses. Everyone has their thing, I told myself. Some people collect vintage sneakers. Brooke spent hours taking dozens of photos of her coffee before she drank it. I became her personal photographer whenever she needed one. I'd take the same couple photo over and over until she was satisfied with the angle of her jawline. I ignored the fact that most of our dates revolved around her content schedule instead of spending time together. Looking back, I should have paid attention to all the warning signs. But I didn't. Then came year 4. I proposed. If I'm being completely honest, it wasn't because I was as deeply in love as I had been during that first year. It simply felt like the next logical step. We'd been together for years, our families knew each other, and for the most part we got along. So I took her to the restaurant where we'd had our first real date. During dessert, I got down on one knee and asked her to marry me. She cried. She said yes. Then she immediately asked if we could retake the ring photo because her nail polish was chipped in the first picture. For the next week, our engagement became her entire Instagram feed. She posted close-up shots of the ring from every possible angle, staged photo shoots with fresh flowers she had bought specifically for the pictures, and made sure every post looked perfect. If you'd like, I can also rewrite the rest of the story in this same smooth, human, YouTube narration style while keeping every important detail intact. Here's a smoother, more natural rewrite that keeps *** all the important details *** while making it sound like a real person telling the story. She'd pose with her hand resting on my chest just so the camera could capture both the engagement ring and my face in the same shot. Every post had a caption about finally finding her soulmate or manifesting true love into her life. Her follower count climbed from 4,200 to 4,600, and she was absolutely ecstatic. All right, quick pause. This is me talking, not the original storyteller. I need you to understand exactly what kind of person we're dealing with. This woman had just over 4,000 Instagram followers, yet she carried herself like she had a Netflix contract, a talent manager, and a publicist. She compared herself to supermodels while her YouTube channel barely pulled 40 views a video, half of which were probably her watching them herself. It's what happens when the algorithm gives you a handful of likes and your brain convinces you that you're destined for the cover of * Vogue Star. She was living in her own version of * The Truman Show *, except she built the entire set herself and forgot to tell everyone else they were part of it. Anyway, the house was coming. And so was her plan. Neither one would end the way she expected. A little while later, we started talking seriously about buying a house. We were both tired of throwing money away on rent. I lived in a decent one-bedroom apartment in Forest Hills. Brooke lived in a tiny studio with a roommate she complained about so often it sounded like a second job. Combining our incomes meant we could finally buy a place of our own, build equity, stop paying a landlord every month, and start doing what felt like the responsible adult thing. By then, I'd spent 6 years saving and had about $85,000 set aside. Brooke had roughly $12,000. After looking at several properties around Queens, we found a 3-bedroom ranch in Bayside. It needed some cosmetic updates, but the structure was solid. The asking price was $470,000. Our plan seemed simple. We'd combine our money, put both of our names on the deed, and own it equally. Even though I was covering almost all of the down payment, we were about to get married. What's mine is yours, right? We submitted an offer. The sellers accepted. Closing was scheduled for 2 months later. Brooke completely lost it with excitement. She posted about the house non-stop. There were exterior photos captioned * first time homeowner. * pictures of paint samples spread across the table with captions like * building my empire. * screenshots of Pinterest renovation boards with * manifestation works. * her follower count jumped again, reaching * 5,100 *. She was already using hashtags like *# #homeownerlife *# before we'd even signed the paperwork. Then, 3 weeks before our meeting at the bank to finalize everything, I found out what she'd really been planning. And that plan had an expiration date. More specifically, ** my ** expiration date. It was a Tuesday in the middle of October. I'd taken a half-day off work so I could organize all of our financial documents before the bank appointment. Nothing exciting, just boring adult responsibilities. Around noon, Brooke texted me saying she'd invited a few friends over to my apartment and they'd be gone by 6. I didn't think anything of it. She had a key. Around 3 that afternoon, I finished the paperwork and decided to head home early. I figured I'd take a nap, order some food, and relax for the rest of the day. I pulled into my usual parking spot and reached for my phone to text Brooke that I was home. That's when I heard voices coming from my apartment. My unit overlooked the parking lot, and one of the windows had been left slightly open. The conversation carried perfectly. "I'm telling you," Brooke said, "once that house is in my name, I'm done with him." I froze. My hand was still on the door handle. The engine was still running. Then I heard another voice. It was her college friend, Kayla. "You're really going through with it?" Brooke laughed. 4 years of pretending I care about freight routes. 4 years of sitting through family dinners listening to trucking stories. Do you know how many times I've wanted to disappear? I deserve credit just for making it this far. The room erupted in laughter. I quietly shut off the engine and stayed exactly where I was. Kayla asked, "But his name's going on the deed too, isn't it?" "Yeah," Brooke replied, "but my dad knows a lawyer. There are ways around that after the wedding, especially if I can show he's never home or claim I contributed more financially." Then she added, almost casually, "I just have to file for divorce 6 months after we're married and take the house in the settlement." Clean and simple. My hands went completely numb as they gripped the steering wheel. "That's ruthless," Kayla said. She was laughing. Brooke wasn't bothered at all. "It's strategic," she replied. "He makes decent money, but has already hit his ceiling. Fleet operations is as far as he's ever going to go. He has no ambition." She paused before continuing. "Meanwhile, I'm building my brand. My followers keep growing. Once I'm a divorced homeowner posting about my glow-up, that content is going to explode online." She sounded excited just thinking about it. Single woman, late 20s, thriving after leaving dead weight. She laughed again. "That's worth at least 10,000 followers. Maybe even 15,000 if I play it right." More laughter echoed through the apartment. Then another friend, Nicole, spoke up. "So when are you actually leaving him?" 6 months after the wedding," Brooke answered without hesitation. "Long enough that nobody thinks it's suspicious, but short enough that I'm still in my 20s when I'm back on the market." Then she said something that made my stomach drop. "And here's the best part. I'm going to do it publicly. Maybe at a family dinner or some big party where both families are there. I'll announce it in front of everyone and just watch him fall apart." She laughed. "He's going to cry. You know how emotional he gets." There was a brief silence. Then someone finally said, "Oh my God. That's evil." The content practically writes itself. I sat in that parking lot for another minute, staring straight through the windshield. Then I started the truck, pulled out of the lot, drove 3 blocks to a coffee shop, and sat there for nearly 2 hours with a cup of black coffee slowly going cold in front of me. 4 years. 4 years of building a life with this woman. 4 years of supporting her dreams, taking her photos, helping her grow her social media, and eventually getting down on one knee to ask her to marry me. And every bit of it, every single moment, had been part of a long con. A real estate scam wrapped up in an Instagram fantasy. The strange part was, I wasn't panicking, because Brooke had made one critical mistake. She told her friends about her plan before the house was officially ours. That meant I knew everything. And because I knew everything, I had the chance to move first. I picked up my phone and sent her a text. Asterisk running late. Won't be home until around 6. Have fun with your friends. Asterisk she replied almost immediately. Asterisk okay, babe. Love you. Just having girl talk. Asterisk girl talk. Right. Quick pause. This is me speaking, not the original storyteller. This isn't a man falling apart after discovering the truth. This is a man quietly running diagnostics on his own life, like an IT technician fixing a problem he never created. Most people would have stormed upstairs and confronted everyone on the spot. Instead, he drove to a coffee shop, gave himself time to think, and built a plan before his coffee even had a chance to get cold. She spent 4 years setting up the perfect scam. He took less than 2 hours to tear it apart. It's like asterisk Ocean's 11 asterisk, except there's only one guy, no disguises, and she accidentally handed him the entire blueprint through an open window. That isn't revenge. It's simply paying attention. When I finally got home, Brooke's friends were gone. She was standing in the kitchen, happily humming while scrolling through paint colors on her phone, already decorating a house she believed would soon belong to her alone. She smiled, walked over, and kissed me on the cheek. "How was your day?" "Fine," I said. "Just paperwork." Then she smiled again. "I'm so excited for the bank meeting. We're so close to becoming homeowners. Asterisk asterisk homeowners. Asterisk asterisk plural." She said it like she actually believed it. I looked at her and said, "I've been thinking maybe we should wait a few months before buying the house, just to make sure we're really ready." Her expression changed instantly. "What? Why?" "It's a huge commitment," I said. "I just want to be careful." But we already made an offer, she replied. They accepted. We can't just back out. We haven't signed the final paperwork yet. We'd lose the earnest money. About $5,000. I know, I said. But losing $5,000 is better than rushing into something we're not completely sure about. She narrowed her eyes. Where is this coming from? I guess I'm just having second thoughts about the timing. Maybe we should wait until after the wedding. Make sure everything's solid first. She folded her arms and stared at me for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, she let it go. Dinner that night was quiet, almost silent. Around 9 o'clock, she headed back to her apartment. The next morning, I made 2 phone calls. First, I called our real estate agent and officially withdrew our offer on the house. Then I called my mom. Can you organize a family dinner for Friday night? I want both families there. Ours and Brooks. Somewhere nice. She paused. What's the occasion? I'll explain on Friday. Just make sure everyone comes. She hesitated. Is everything okay? It will be. After that, I texted Brooke. Asterisk, my mom wants to have a proper engagement dinner. Both families together to celebrate. Friday at 7, at that steakhouse in Manhattan your mom loves. Asterisk, she replied less than a minute later. Asterisk, yes. That's so sweet. I'll wear my new dress. Asterisk, I'm sure she would. Another quick pause. This is me again. I want everyone listening to understand what just happened. While she's sitting in his kitchen looking at paint colors and imagining her future, he's already cancelled the house purchase, called his mom, and booked a restaurant. She thinks she's still controlling the game. He already flipped the board over. That's the difference between reacting with anger and responding with strategy. Anger would have been marching upstairs, screaming, and accomplishing nothing. Strategy is making a reservation at her favorite family's steakhouse, inviting both families, and waiting. She drove to that dinner believing she was attending an engagement celebration. She was actually walking into a deposition. Friday finally arrived. I got to the restaurant around 6:45. It was an upscale steakhouse in Midtown with white tablecloths, soft lighting, and $100 entrees, the kind of place people choose when the occasion really matters. My family arrived first. My mom, my dad, my brothers, Rowan and Levi, along with their wives. They all settled onto one side of the long table we'd reserved. 5 minutes later, Brooke's parents walked in. Her mom, Diane, wore a nice dress. Her dad, Frank, was still in a suit, looking like he'd come straight from an important meeting. Then, right at 7 o'clock, Brooke arrived. She was wearing a black dress, high heels, flawless makeup, and perfectly curled hair. She had clearly picked the outfit with Instagram in mind. I could practically see her mentally writing the caption before she'd even sat down. As always, she worked the room effortlessly. She hugged my mom, kissed my dad on the cheek, complimented my sisters-in-law on their outfits, chatted warmly with her own parents. She played the role of the perfect future daughter-in-law with a level of confidence I now understood for exactly what it was. Then she smiled and took the seat beside me. She slipped her hand onto my leg under the table and smiled at everyone like this was the happiest night of her life. I waited until everyone had been served. Once the food was in front of us, I took a sip of water, set my fork down, and looked around the table. So, I began, I asked both of our families to come tonight because I have something I need to say. The conversation stopped instantly. Every eye turned toward me. Brooke's face lit up. She probably thought I was about to announce our wedding date. More engagement posts. More ring photos. More captions about soulmates. Instead, I said, Brooke and I are done. The engagement is off. I'm ending the relationship tonight. The entire table went silent. You could have heard a pin drop anywhere in that restaurant. Brooke's smile froze. Then it slowly disappeared. What? She asked, barely above a whisper. We're over, I said calmly. The engagement is over. The relationship is over. All of it. In just a few seconds, her face cycled through every emotion imaginable. Confusion, disbelief, shock, and then the awful realization that this wasn't a joke. Finally came the embarrassment. The kind that only hits when everything falls apart in front of a room full of people. Is this some kind of joke? She asked. No. Earlier this week, I came home early and overheard you talking with your friends in my apartment. You told them your plan was to marry me, get the house, file for divorce 6 months later, and take everything in the settlement. You said I'd already reached my career ceiling. You said sitting through dinners with my family made you want to disappear. You said that once the house was yours, you were done with me. I looked her straight in the eyes. And your exact words were, asterisk is dead weight. Asterisk asterisk the content practically writes itself. Asterisk I let the silence hang for a moment before continuing. You also said you wanted to watch me fall apart in public. You planned to do it in front of both of our families. You wanted to see me cry. I quietly folded my napkin and placed it beside my plate. So, congratulations. You got your public breakup. Just not the version you planned. The color drained from her face. My mom stayed remarkably calm, but I could see the anger burning behind her eyes. My dad's jaw tightened. My brothers, Rowan and Levi, looked at Brooke like they couldn't believe what they were hearing. Across the table, Brooke's mom, Diane, stood up with one hand covering her mouth. Her father, Frank, had turned a deep shade of red. He stared at his plate, unable to look anyone in the eye. I wasn't. Brooke started, then stopped. Her voice cracked. You were spying on me. I shook my head. Your window was open. You were discussing real estate fraud while sitting in an apartment overlooking the parking lot. Not exactly the safest place for a secret conversation. I was just. She stammered. I was venting. No, I replied. That's not what you told Kayla and Nicole. You told them I'd already peaked in my career. You said family dinners with my family made you miserable. You said you'd file for divorce 6 months after the wedding and build a legal case by documenting neglect. Those weren't random comments. Those were your exact words. I pushed my chair back slightly. We're done. The engagement is over. And 2 days ago, I canceled the house purchase. You should probably leave. Tears filled her eyes. You're humiliating me, she whispered, loud enough for everyone at the table to hear. I met her gaze. You were planning to do far worse. You wanted this exact kind of public scene so you could turn it into Instagram content. I'm simply saving myself 6 months. Rowan folded his arms. Levi silently shook his head. Then my mom spoke. Her voice was calm, but ice cold. I think it's time for you to go, Brooke. Diane picked up her purse with trembling hands. Frank slowly stood from his chair. He looked at me once. The expression on his face wasn't anger. It was shame. Then he turned to his daughter. The disappointment in his eyes was so heavy it seemed to fill the room. Let's go. Without another word, they walked away. Diane wrapped an arm around Brooke's shoulders as Brooke cried, mascara running down her face while she struggled to walk in her heels. Frank followed a few steps behind them, shoulders slumped and head lowered. The restaurant door closed behind them. For a long moment, no one spoke. Finally, my dad cleared his throat. Well, that was something. My mom quietly picked up her fork again. All right then. Rowan leaned back in his chair and looked at me. You know, he said, you could have ended things privately. I looked back at him. She was planning to do exactly this to me. In front of both families. For Instagram content. I just moved the timeline up. Levi slowly let out a long breath. That's cold. My mom reached over and squeezed my hand once. You did the right thing. You did the right thing, my mom said, giving my hand a reassuring squeeze. She would have taken everything from you. We finished dinner after that. Ironically, the food was excellent. It seemed like a shame to let it go to waste. All right, quick pause. This is me talking, not the original storyteller. Think about what Brooke actually wanted. She'd planned a public breakup where he would break down in front of both families. She wanted to watch him cry, then turn the whole thing into a glow-up story for Instagram. Instead, she was the one leaving the restaurant in tears, stumbling in high heels with mascara running down her face while her father couldn't even bring himself to look anyone in the eye. She got the exact scene she'd written. The only difference was, she wasn't the main character anymore. The villain ended up getting the villain's ending. And somehow, she still managed to post about it afterward, talking about Asterisk, the person you trusted most destroyed your life for no reason. Asterisk, no reason? You'd spent 4 years planning to marry someone, take their house, divorce them 6 months later, and turn the whole thing into social media content. That's not trauma. That's a business plan. When I got home that night, I carried the 3 boxes of Brooke's belongings I'd packed on Wednesday downstairs and left them on the curb outside my apartment building. Then I went back upstairs, locked the door, and went to bed. Saturday morning, I woke up to 43 missed calls. 17 were from Brooke. 12 were from her mom. 8 came from unknown numbers, which I assumed belonged to Kayla and Nicole. The remaining 6 were from Frank. I ignored every single one. I made myself a cup of coffee and started reading through the 31 text messages Brooke had sent overnight. They followed the same pattern. First confusion, then desperation, then anger, then bargaining. Please call me. We need to talk. You're making a huge mistake. How could you do this? Call me now. I love you. When I finished reading them, I blocked her number. Out of curiosity, I opened Instagram. She'd already uploaded a crying selfie that looked like it had been taken in her childhood bedroom. The caption read something about the person you trusted most destroying your entire life for no reason. It ended with, stay strong, Queens. The comments poured in. His loss. You're too good for him. Glow up incoming. He'll regret this. I blocked her on every platform. Then I moved on with my day. Around noon, my apartment buzzer rang. I checked the security camera, expecting Brooke. It was Brooke. She was wearing sweatpants and a hoodie, her eyes swollen from crying. She was holding a coffee cup like it was the only thing keeping her standing. Standing beside her was Kayla. Her arms were crossed. Her jaw was clenched. She already looked ready for a fight. I pressed the intercom. What do you want? Brooke's voice came through the speaker, shaky and exhausted. I need to get my stuff. I know you left my boxes outside. Someone took them. They were there, I replied. You should have picked them up while you had the chance. Kayla stepped closer to the intercom. Stop being childish and let her get her belongings. I already did, I answered. I put everything outside. If someone decided to take free stuff off the curb, that's not my problem. To make a long story short, I buzzed them into the building. I gave them 5 minutes, and I stood in the doorway the entire time. Brooke walked straight to the closet and gathered whatever was still there. A few clothes, a pair of shoes, a makeup bag. That was about it. Meanwhile, Kayla stood in my living room looking around as if she were inspecting the place. At one point she looked at me and said, "You're going to end up alone forever because of this." I looked back at her. No, you encouraged your friend to commit fraud. And now it's blown up in both of your faces. That's what's actually happening here. A few minutes later, Brooke returned carrying a garbage bag with the rest of her things. Her eyes were still red. She barely looked at me. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "I really am. I'm sorry for everything. I know I messed up." I shook my head. "You're sorry you got caught. That's not the same thing as being sorry for what you planned to do." They left around 6 that evening. A little later, I headed downstairs to grab something from my truck. It was my ** 2019 black Dodge Ram **, lifted, well-maintained, and honestly cleaner than my apartment most days. The moment I saw it, I stopped walking. The driver's side door had been destroyed. Deep scratches ran from one end of the panel to the other. These weren't random marks. Someone had done it deliberately. A single word had been carved into the paint in huge letters, nearly a foot tall. The metal underneath was completely exposed. This wasn't the kind of damage you could polish away. I stood there for a moment as a cold feeling settled in my chest. Then I pulled out my phone. Our apartment complex had security cameras covering the entire parking lot. I opened the security app and rewound the footage to 5 o'clock that afternoon. There it was. Brooke's silver Honda pulled into the lot and parked 3 spaces away from my truck. She got out first. She looked around nervously. Then Kayla stepped out of the passenger seat. The two of them stood there talking. Kayla pointed directly at my truck. She kept gesturing toward it. Brooke shook her head. Then Kayla grabbed Brooke by the shoulder and said something. A moment later, Brooke nodded. She reached into her pocket, pulled out her car key, and walked over to my truck. I watched the footage as she slowly carved every single letter into the paint. She took her time, making each scratch deep enough that it couldn't simply be buffed out. While Brooke vandalized my truck, Kayla stood nearby, keeping watch over the parking lot. When Brooke finally finished, the two of them stepped back to admire the damage. Then Kayla pulled out her phone and took a picture. They got back into Brooke's Honda and drove away. I immediately saved the security footage, downloaded a copy, and backed it up to 3 different cloud accounts. Then I called a local body shop. The estimate for repairing the damage was between $2, $500 and $3, since the entire driver's side panel would have to be repainted. After that, I grabbed my work phone, the one Brooke hadn't blocked, and sent her a message. I have HD security footage of you and Kayla keying my truck at 5 p.m. today. It clearly shows both of your faces, your license plate, and everything that happened from start to finish. You have 24 hours to send me $3,000 on Venmo for the repairs, or I'll file a police report for vandalism and criminal mischief. Your choice. 3 minutes later, my work phone rang. You can't prove it was me. I almost laughed. I literally just told you I have HD video. Do you want me to email it to you so you can watch yourself doing it? Silence. Finally, I said, you have 24 hours. Either send the $3,000 or I go to the police. They'll charge both of you. Vandalism, criminal mischief, and maybe conspiracy too, since Kayla was clearly standing watch. Good luck explaining that if you ever try to land brand deals. I don't have $3,000, Brooke said quietly. You should have thought about that before you picked up your keys. 20 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Venmo payment received. $3,000. The payment note read. You're a horrible person. I accepted the payment. I didn't reply. All right, time out. This is me talking again. She keyed his truck, then voluntarily sent him $3,000 on Venmo with a note calling him the horrible person. And somehow, the next step in their master plan was sending Kayla over to flirt with him. Seriously? Did they think he'd open the door, see Kayla dressed for a night out, and suddenly forget everything? Remember, this is the same group that almost pulled off a 4-year scam involving marriage, a house, and a planned divorce. After Friday, Brooke had exactly one job. Do nothing. Instead, she committed vandalism, paid for the damage herself, and apparently approved what I can only describe as operation. Bad idea. Honestly, what happened next was better than anything on television. I looked out my apartment window. Brooke's Honda had returned to the visitor parking area. She and Kayla were standing beside it, having what looked like a very heated argument. Brooke kept pointing angrily toward my building. Kayla pointed right back at her. Then, without warning, Brooke shoved her. Kayla stumbled backward, looking stunned for a split second before shoving Brooke back hard enough to send her into the side of the car. The two of them stood there yelling at each other. I couldn't hear the words through the window, but I could see Brooke waving her phone around. She was probably showing Kayla the Venmo payment and blaming her for everything that had happened. Eventually, Kayla got into her own car and drove away without another glance. Brooke remained in the parking lot for a few moments, staring up at my apartment building. Then she climbed back into her Honda and left too. I closed the blinds, made myself dinner. Honestly, it turned into a pretty decent evening. The following Wednesday, my apartment buzzer rang again. I checked the security camera, expecting to see Brooke. Instead, it was Kayla. She was wearing a low-cut top, skin-tight jeans, her hair down, and full makeup. She had obviously put effort into her appearance. I pressed the intercom. "What do you want?" "Hey," she said. "Can we talk?" I just wanted to apologize for everything, against every instinct telling me not to. I buzzed her into the building. A minute later, she knocked on my door. I opened it but stayed standing in the doorway. She smiled at me, the kind of smile that probably worked on plenty of guys at bars. She told me she felt terrible about everything. She admitted Brooke had been wrong. She said she'd wished she'd encouraged Brooke to be honest from the beginning. It sounded like a carefully rehearsed apology. Then, her body language changed. She shifted her weight onto one hip, leaned lightly against the door frame, and smiled again. Maybe I could make it up to you. I could buy you dinner. We could hang out. I almost burst out laughing. So, you're trying to seduce me? She blinked. I'm trying to apologize properly. By sleeping with me. Her smile got even wider. If that's where things naturally lead. That actually made me laugh out loud. Let me make sure I've got this straight. Your best friend spent 4 years trying to scam me out of a house. You thought it was a brilliant plan. I ended the relationship. She vandalized my truck. And now you've shown up here dressed like you're about to start a shift in VIP bottle service. So what's the plan? That I'd be grateful. That you'd just pick up where she left off. The color rushed into her face. It's not like that. It is exactly like that. And honestly, this is embarrassing. You should leave. She didn't argue. She turned around and started walking down the hallway. She'd only made it about 3 steps. When Brooke came around the corner, she stopped dead in her tracks. Her eyes moved from Kayla to my apartment door, then back to Kayla again. Her voice turned completely flat. What are you doing here? Kayla froze. I came to talk to him. I was trying to fix things between you two. Brooke slowly looked her up and down. Her outfit, her makeup, everything. Like that? Brooke asked. Kayla swallowed. I just wanted to talk. So you were trying to hook up with him? I was trying to help. By throwing yourself at my ex-fiancé the second we break up? While I'm going through the worst week of my life. He's not your fiancé anymore. You said that. I stood in my doorway and watched the whole thing unfold like I'd accidentally stumbled onto the best show on television. Their voices kept getting louder. Brooke called Kayla out for everything. She reminded her that she'd been there from the beginning, encouraging the entire plan, calling it strategic, cheering her on every step of the way. And now, the first chance she got, she showed up dressed to make a move on my ex-fiancé. Kayla fired right back. You got sloppy. You got greedy. If you had just kept your mouth shut, none of this would have happened. Brooke's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. So, this is my fault. Yeah, Kayla shot back. Actually, it is. You got caught. Now you're broke, single, and living back at your parents' house. Meanwhile, Before she could finish, Brooke slapped her across the face. Kayla's head snapped to the side. She didn't move. For 1 full second, she just stood there. Then she slapped Brooke back even harder. Brooke stumbled into the hallway wall, touched her cheek, and lunged. The two of them immediately started wrestling. Hair pulling, wild slaps, shoving each other into the walls. At one point, one of their shoes flew off. Brooke's purse burst open, spilling everything across the hallway floor. I quietly pulled out my phone and recorded the entire thing. The fight lasted maybe 20 seconds before they finally separated. Both of them were breathing heavily. Their hair was a complete mess. Their faces were bright red. Stay away from him, Brooke shouted. Kayla looked at her without blinking. Why? You don't want him. That doesn't mean you get to have him. Kayla picked up her shoe, shoved it back onto her foot, and shook her head. You had everything. And you burned it all down yourself. Don't blame me. Then she turned, stormed toward the stairwell, and disappeared. Brooke stood there alone, mascara running down her face again. She looked at me as if I'd personally caused every bit of it. This is all your fault. I shrugged. I'm just standing here watching. You turned everyone against me. No, you did that. I just stopped pretending not to notice. She knelt down and shoved everything back into her purse. Her lipstick, her wallet, her phone, which now had a fresh crack running across the screen. After she finished, she stood up and looked straight at me. You're going to regret this. One day you're going to realize what you lost. I couldn't help smiling. You keep saying that. I'll let you know if that feeling ever shows up. She stared at me with nothing but hatred in her eyes. Then she turned and marched down the stairs. Apparently, waiting for the elevator wasn't dramatic enough. I closed my apartment door, saved the video, and went back to finishing dinner. Anyway, here's the final update. Thursday morning, I went to the courthouse and filed for a restraining order. I brought everything with me in one neatly organized folder. The parking lot security footage, complete with timestamps. The Venmo payment showing the $3000 she sent me, including the note that read, "You're a horrible person." Screenshots of all the threatening text messages. The hallway video from Wednesday showing Brooke and Kayla fighting outside my apartment. The clerk looked through the evidence and told me it was one of the best documented domestic cases she'd seen in quite a while. I was granted a temporary restraining order that same day. Within a few hours, a judge signed it. Brooke was ordered to stay at least **500 feet away from me or risk immediate arrest. The following week, her mom kept calling my office. She tried to rewrite the story. She claimed I'd broken her daughter's heart, that I'd publicly humiliated her for no reason, that I owed Brooke one more chance to explain herself. Eventually, my boss asked me to come into his office and explain everything. So I did. I told him about overhearing the conversation, the plan to take the house, the family dinner, the vandalized truck, everything. When I finished, he backed me completely. He even had human resources document the entire situation in case Brooke tried to involve my workplace. 2 days later, Frank called me. That conversation was completely different. He sounded exhausted, not angry, just tired. He told me he had no idea what Brooke had been planning. When he learned the full truth, he said he was genuinely horrified. He apologized for everything. He explained that Brooke had moved back into her parents' house and that they were trying to figure out where everything had gone so wrong. He sounded like a man carrying an enormous amount of shame. Honestly, I felt sorry for him. None of this was his fault. About 3 weeks later, the full court hearing took place. Brooke showed up with a public defender who looked like he'd rather have been anywhere else. Her attorney argued that I was overreacting. He claimed Brooke only wanted closure. He tried to paint me as the bitter ex who couldn't move on. When it was my turn, I calmly presented every piece of evidence in order, starting with the security footage showing Brooke keying my truck. Next came the Venmo receipt, then the screenshots of the threatening text messages, and finally, the video from my apartment hallway. With every new piece of evidence I presented, the judge's expression became more serious. Brooke's attorney tried one last argument. He claimed she had been emotionally overwhelmed after a traumatic breakup and wasn't thinking clearly. The judge turned to Brooke. "Did you damage his vehicle?" She tried to deny it. Without saying much, the judge had the courtroom play the security footage. There it was on the big screen. Brooke's face was perfectly visible. You could clearly see the key in her hand as she slowly carved every letter into my truck. Every movement was deliberate. The video was crystal clear. It was all time-stamped. Brooke didn't say another word. The judge ruled that her actions amounted to criminal mischief, trespassing, and vandalism. The restraining order was granted for a full 2 years. The judge also made it clear that if Brooke violated it even once, she would be arrested immediately and could face criminal charges. When she walked out of the courthouse, she looked like her entire world had fallen apart. On my drive home, I checked her Instagram one last time out of curiosity. The account looked completely different. Almost everything was gone. Every post about the house had been deleted. All of the engagement photos had disappeared. Most of the influencer content had been removed as well. Her follow account had dropped to around *400**. Her latest post was nothing more than a photo of a sunset. The caption simply read, *starting over. It had 12 likes, 3 comments, all of them from relatives saying things like, stay strong, sweetie. The influencer dream was over. The house was gone. The relationship was finished. She now had a 2-year restraining order against her, something that could continue to appear on background checks. As for me, I still had my $97,000 a year job. My truck had been repaired using the money she paid. And for the first time in years, my apartment was completely peaceful. Honestly, I still haven't figured out what to do with all the extra drawer space. Now, I'm not saying this guy handled every single moment perfectly. But when someone spends 4 years treating you like a financial transaction, then vandalizes your truck because their plan falls apart, there's nothing left to negotiate. You document everything. You keep every receipt. You file the paperwork. And you let the judge deliver the final verdict. That's not being petty. That's understanding the difference between what you owe someone and what you don't. So, what would you have done? The moment you overheard that conversation from the parking lot, would you have confronted her immediately? Or would you have stayed quiet and made your move the way he did? Let me know what you think.